Hi, everyone.
Hey, Madeline, how you doing?
I am good. How are you, James?
Oh, we're doing good. It's our first live remote show, so I can only imagine how great it's going to be.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
Madeline, for those that don't know, Madeline is by the bathrooms, and I am by the elevator. So, this should work out really well. Well, everyone, we're live from URISA GIS Pro 2012. Do I have that right?
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
It's
So
the
the
50th annual URISA conference. So,
it was a little confusing to me though because URISA was founded in like 1968.
yeah, I think they're counting based on when they started having conferences, like they started having the meetings before they had an official organization. It sounds like.
Ah, so you can say, yeah, okay, I guess that makes sense. So someone came up with the idea of URISA in 1962, I guess, or 63, I guess, no, 62, right? It's 2012, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a long week. So I've been here. This is my first URISA conference since probably the late 90s.
Oh, wow.
So clearly I have not hung out in URISA land for very long.
Well, it's my first URISA conference too, ever. So,
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. They seem to be really focused on trying to, I guess, grow the brand. At least that's what it seems to me. I was talking to somebody here earlier, and I was trying to compare URISA to GITA, and they were kind of aghast that I would even remotely consider one professional organization similar to another.
huh.
But it's, I guess the big question for me always is do professional organizations have a purpose anymore?
Hmm.
And clearly, I think for someone like you who's early on in their career, it's interesting.
Yeah,
But
oh, it's very helpful for me. And there's a lot of, seems to be like a culture of mentorship here. A lot of people talking about that, wanting to give back to the next generation of GIS people, which is wonderful. And I'm really gaining a lot of context and feel for the industry as a whole here. So.
yeah. So the first night they had a, I guess that wasn't the first day was workshops, right? And you were in on that, correct?
Yeah, the first day was workshops, and I was assisting with one, which basically just meant helping take a role and so forth. And that was the GIS program management one.
Yeah.
So
So
that
then,
was
and then at night they had the what do you call it? The Ignite talks, and they had a couple. I know. I guess because it's Portland, I guess they have a big focus upon open source, open collaborative tools, and there was a couple great examples there. I think from TriMet, Open Plans, and others.
right.
So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and I think you missed Matt Holgate's elephant one. That was super fun. He's actually a biologist, but he uses GPS to track elephant movement in zoo exhibits to see if they're actually how much space is sort of ideal to get the elephants moving. But it was very amusing and informative talk.
Yeah, elephants. I guess you could see an elephant from space, right? Are they big enough to see
Well, he brought
on
in
the
actually
satellite?
the like leather bracelets for the elephants that have the GPS unit, and he showed us a picture of one that the elephant had managed to ingest and excrete again, which was kind of amusing. So
I guess an elephant will eat anything, right, including a GPS.
apparently, yeah.
No, no. And then, so the morning show was yesterday's keynote was Michael Goodchild,
Yes.
who a lot of people will know from VGI history.
Hmm.
He did not talk about VGI or crowdsourcing, I guess, directly, but he was talking about Al Gore's Digital Earth effort. That it's like that's about the only point I hear about Al Gore anymore. Is when someone's talking about a digital globe. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was interesting. He was talking about how far they've come, but in a way, I was thinking really nothing's happened since Google Earth came out. You still can't do underground analysis with Google Earth. You can't go beneath the crust of the Earth.
Right.
And there's still a lot of stuff going down there, isn't there? That to me that's surprising. And he was talking about names like Michael Jones and some others, and it's like, boy, these people have not been around in forever. And NASA Whirlwind and all these other tools. I mean, it's like, wow, what happened? We were so close to having a digital Earth or digital globe or whatever you want to call them, and then nothing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was interesting, but I think he did a pretty good talk, and everyone was really excited about it. So
yeah, I thought I was really interested in his point about how apparently Google and Yahoo and some other company have just released like basically a schema for categorizing places on Earth, and it's extremely sort of North American and European centric, and just clearly not universal. Like it has as a subtype of grocery store Asian supermarket, which makes sense in like LA, but not in Beijing.
Well, isn't every supermarket an Asian supermarket? So you just classify them as Asian supermarkets, right? And then you're done. No. Yeah, well, I think part of that all is everything is very U.S. or European centric because the companies are U.S. or European centric.
Yeah.
I think we don't get exposed to a lot of, especially Chinese companies. There's a whole world in China that happens inside the borders of China that we never see. Mm-hmm. Goodchild actually got into that, showing the Google Maps, depending on where if you're in India or if you're in China, the border changes, vice versa. So I think it's interesting to look at that, to think, a lot of these countries, especially in Asia, they don't really share their views on how things should be classified outside of their country. I met a guy on an airplane a couple months back, and he was talking about how, for some reason, the U.S. and Europe seem to impose their will on the rest of the world, which is kind of funny because I don't know if we're necessarily imposing our will, but we're sort of, we like to promote ourselves, and I'm not sure that.
Yeah, it's definitely like a pretty one-way flow of information.
Yeah. So I honestly believe we'll start seeing companies from China and India start expanding out beyond their worlds because there's so much money to be made globally that, taking care of their own populace, while they are big, you got to figure you got to start chasing money elsewhere. And maybe they just say, the heck with Europe and North America, the next great frontier is South America and Africa. So
yeah, could be. I'm going to poke my head around the corner and see if Amy's there. I'll be right back.
Okay, yeah, we're waiting for the URISA guys to show up. They were at their awards ceremony. I did not get an award for anything at URISA this year, surprisingly. So we will go from there. Last night, though, I was at the Esri Dev Summit, and that was up on the 30th floor of the Portland City Grill, which is always a great venue. The talk was interesting because
I didn't see her, so
no, we don't have anybody yet. Yeah, as I said, we're waiting for the URISA people to show up. I was just telling people about the Dev Summit last night. We had TriMet was there showcasing one of their apps, and it's something as developers things with like Silverlight and other tools. It's like they apologize before they show you what they're doing. It's like, I'm going to show you a really good tool for analysis, but sorry, it runs on Silverlight. It's like, don't worry about it. It is what it is. But it's the things are kind of cool. Trying to get away from, I guess, running everything through ArcGIS server and try and cache things locally on the clients. And that stuff's kind of cool stuff, and it works across platforms and stuff. I didn't see anything. Nobody was showing tablets or other options like that. So I'm trying to think, what else did they say? There was a couple people about volunteering, GIS volunteering.
GIS volunteering at the Dev Summit?
Yeah. There was I wish I could remember her name. She had a really good presenter, and she was talking about how there's so many small organizations and cities. She was showing them in Oregon, but she said, worldwide, and why they would love you to spend 10, 15 minutes a day just helping them out. There's some little town that has, 20 people, and none of their fire hydrants are mapped. And how long would it take a GIS person to map those fire hydrants.
Was she with the GIS-Corps? I went and saw their presentation yesterday.
I think she was. I think she was.
Yeah,
So,
that's a really cool organization. They've accomplished a bunch of missions, really helping out, and they specifically carefully match the volunteers to the task to make sure that everything is works out well. And they had one example of this guy who was a remote image analyst. He was detecting illegal gold mines in this nature reserve in Tanzania, I think. But it was really cool.
yeah, the coolest one though was. Do you know what crimping is?
No.
Yeah, not in the sense of hair, but
Yeah.
when you park a car, and you're from Portland, you should know this. You got to turn the tires, right? You got to turn them into the curb so the car doesn't roll back, right?
Oh, okay. Is that called crimping? Yeah,
Apparently.
I did not. I had never heard of it.
And he was down at the Esri user conference earlier this year, and they parked on a relatively flat surface. And he goes for lunch, comes back out, and he's got a ticket from the meter maid that says $60 for not crimping. And so he had to look it up, the definition of it, and figure it out. So in California, if on a 3% slope, you have to crimp your tires. So what would any GIS person do? You go figure out the slope of the hill and figure out if he's crimping or not. And he actually used ArcGIS Online. There's a tool in there to do some analysis of slope. And so he created this application, ArcGIS Online, sent it to the judge, and he hasn't heard anything back yet. But apparently, no news is good news on these things.
Oh, that's awesome. All right.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. It was an interesting use. Of course, Esri loved it because they were using. Finally, somebody's using ArcGIS Online. They were like, ah. So, but that's pretty cool. So I was looking back on the IRC channel. And there's a gentleman, Sandman, who wants to know, how is GIS helpful as mining goes? Shoot, mining and GIS are humongous. Anybody who has ever lived or done work down in Australia knows the mining industry is everywhere. So they use a lot of tools. I know we were doing some work with Pitney Bowes a while back, and they had a lot of specific applications. I mean, I'm not a miner, and I barely like digging for plants, but I think clearly there's a ton of work that people have done, and I think mining is one of those industries where there's a lot of money, but it's cyclical. It's probably like oil; it's cyclical. You either have tons of money because the price of gold and silver and copper are through the roof, or you're laying everybody off because the price of copper is depressing. So
right, yeah, and in the case I mentioned, they actually used digital globe imagery to see where sort of illegal, and it was really like low-tech mining. They were just basically digging up and panning the riverbeds in this park, but there were a bunch of new locations where they were doing this, and it's disrupting like the river and ecosystem. So you can use it to detect illegal mining as well.
Yeah. So yeah, satellites and things like that. The big joke is you can use the UAVs now to determine who's messing with the environment. You just keep flying the UAVs over small areas, and then you can see change detection on the ground. So
yeah, I'm not sure exactly how they're going to deal with that problem now that they've identified it, but I guess that's a step in the right direction.
Well, I've seen that. On the Discovery Channel or something, where the guys are mining for gold in Alaska, and they're a bunch of gruff guys. I don't know if I'd want to be a GIS person coming over and saying, "Dude, you can't mine here. These guys are big. They got big machinery." I'd probably just let them keep mining.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, it's funny about that. So yeah, mining. I think it's one of those. I don't know if URISA is necessarily a mining conference. URISA is more local government
Yeah, there's
and
a lot
education.
Of local government. There's a decent amount of private sector people here too, I think.
Yeah, there are. I think GITA is probably the organization that would have been more of a mining world, but they're not.
Yeah,
I don't know if they exist anymore.
I don't know much about GITA, or are they? I don't think they're that active in Oregon or something.
No, they pretty much shut down, and then they agreed to have one more oil and gas GITA conference, but I don't think that was anything more than they wanted to do one more. and the future is probably there probably is no more GITA. I don't know anything more than anybody else about that, but I think when people start saying an organization should be shut down, that's probably it, right? So yeah, so you've missed out on GITA.
Oh well.
It's more of an infrastructure thing, so telecommunications, mining, oil and gas, that kind of stuff. So not really what a lot of people do. You know, it's niche, and I guess if those industries are doing well, you've got support, but if not, it's over. So I don't know. I'm actually looking forward today at lunch. Did you see what the keynote is?
No, what is it?
It's Microsoft.
Oh.
Talking about the cloud.
Oh, okay.
Azure to be specific, but I don't think they have anything Azure to talk about, so they're going to be talking about us. So Microsoft apparently has got a slide or two on us at lunch. So so you'll have to be there.
Cool.
Apparently we are a viable cloud example. Right? I thought it was interesting. You know, the title is like an agnostic view of the cloud or something like that. I just find it interesting that if you were doing really well with your cloud product, you probably wouldn't have an agnostic view of the cloud. You'd probably be saying, like, Azure's where it's at. Let's do it. But I don't think that's happening with them. So we were trying to, at the Esri Dev Summit last night, everybody was trying to say who's using Azure in this room, and understand an Esri developer is Microsoft centric, and none of them said I'd use Azure. So at some point you might have to just say the heck with Azure, right? You ever use it?
I have not. Hold on, I'm going to check my head around the corner just one more time.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I remember about 3 or 4 years ago when Microsoft first started promoting Azure, they were talking about people running applications in Azure, and for the life of me, if anybody can just point out one use of Azure other than Microsoft, I'd love to see it. You know, I think someone told me Apple's using the Azure cloud for some things, and for iCloud and others, but I don't know. It just seems like a weird use case. You know, I don't know. Amazon pretty much is one of those companies that got at the right place at the right time with the right tool stack, and they keep progressively making it better. You don't have to just, recreate the wheel every time. They just add these cute little tweaks to it every once in a while, and it's pretty cool. So we've got a URISA guy coming on.
Yeah.
I didn't see who it is.
It's Karl Anderson.
Okay,
He's
so
a leader in URISA's Open Geo movement. Hi, Karl. Oh, he doesn't have his headset on yet.
Right. There he is. Hi, Karl.
Hello there.
Hi.
How you doing?
Hi there. We had a great presentation.
Uh-oh.
Did you drop out? Karl, you okay, bud? Can't hear you. Oh, I can walk over there in a second, see if he can.
Yeah.
He's adjusting something.
Okay.
Let me go check on it real quick.
Okay. Yeah, everyone. Sorry, this isn't as well coordinated as it might have been. It's great to get these leaders in URISA to be on our show at the conference, but they're all extremely busy. Like, we had a keynote that ended. The award ceremony ended at 10, so they're sort of trying to find us. And it's just a little bit packed. Maybe we'll get them on later. Relax.
All right. Computers, right?
Are we good?
Oh, it said the USB dropped out on the computer.
The USB dropped out?
Yeah, right. As soon as he picks it up, of course it drops out. So he's fitzing with it. Hopefully it'll turn back on in a second.
Oh, man.
Right? So this is our first live show remotely.
Yeah, this is why we don't do live shows
clearly.
often, right, things?
There's a reason why 40 or 50 people go into the field when you do this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Poor Karl, he'll figure it out. Right? He can hear us. That's what's awesome. All right, let's go back to the old IRC here. Oh, we've got somebody on Azure. Azure will slowly catch on with enterprise where users already have large SQL Server deployments, and with the next upgrades, they can move to SQL Azure. I guess, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. SQL Azure seems to be the logical use case. Databases, hosted databases. But, Madeline, I don't know about you, there's a lot of companies that put a lot of data in databases that you don't want to share, you know?
Yeah.
Hey guys,
Hi.
I'm here.
Woo!
There we go.
Nice
Right?
job there, Karl.
So you passed our test, Karl. You can't be on unless you figure out our US.
Well, I'm glad I passed the test.
Yeah. So Karl, what are you doing this week? Anything fun?
Oh, it's a lot of fun here at GIS Pro. It's I always love meeting all the people I haven't seen in forever and all the great ideas they're trying to work through. It's a blast.
So what's the coolest thing you've seen so far? What's the most awesome thing you got excited about?
So the Goodchild opening discussion of the concept between Spatial and Spatial as different concepts and it just rang through my head as an excellent idea that a couple of years ago at an OpenStreetMap I saw a Paul, I think it was a Paul Ramsey presentation on building neighborhood maps using Flickr and the names in Flickr, and it's like, that's a Spatial application. That's that's awesome stuff, and we're bouncing on it, but we just are missing our terms around it, and I love it.
Yeah, I thought that was really fascinating too. I really liked his idea of making note of not only what type of a place it is in the digital globe, but whose schema we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was really right on. So I really enjoyed your Ignite presentation on the white papers thing. Can you give our viewers like a really quick distillation of that?
Well, okay. So this idea that within the whole of the industry, people love talking about success, and they're not such big fans of talking about their failures. And we should be encouraging that full discussion of what's working and what's not. How do we do a better job? And let's start to build labs to answer the questions that we have, to deal with the questions that are the big meaty things, and let's publish them as white papers and at conferences and everything. So we're trying to stand up this labs concept, and I think we're getting the legs under us now. So
yeah, I think it's a fantastic idea. Do you think that you're going to be able to secure funding, or is it going to be like a voluntary sort of activity for a while? Or?
I've gotten some contacts at the university level. I've got some contacts at some federal levels on this at the moment. I think if we do it and we're able to do something real with it, I think people will say, here's a question and here's some money to go figure it out. So I don't see a problem with that in the future, but starting out, I really, let's not add money as a pollutant to the pure ideas, right? Let's get started and get going. But I believe there's money in it somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, I just think it's really exciting to see what you guys come out with. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So.
How did you enjoy? Sorry, how did you enjoy the Ignite presentations? We're a little older, or a little geekier. How did you think that went?
That was so fun. It was so fun. There was so much energy in the room, and it was, of course, partially the fact that everyone had probably had a beer right beforehand.
That always helps.
But no, it was really. I just couldn't believe all the interaction, and just everyone was so excited, and I really enjoyed a bunch of, well, all of them, and a bunch of them really stood out for me. So it was one of the highlights, I think.
So Amy's downstairs. She was going to come up right away as soon as she could. I don't know if she.
I just ran into her, so she's got to go moderate. So Amy says local URISA is awesome, which I totally agree with, and that is why URISA is successful. She wanted to say, from
big
the bottom up.
Yeah,
right? It's the local URISA groups is why URISA has not gone the way of GITA.
Yeah, and I'm actually involved with the local Oregon URISA Young Professionals group that we're just sort of getting going, and had a few socials, doing some planning for workshops and stuff. And
I came up through Georgia, and I'm still involved with them, and I'm a little bit involved with Florida, and we should all join the Alaska URISA chapter because they need members.
Right. It could be like if you move to Alaska, you get like $1,000 a year. If you join the URISA Alaska group, you get what, $2,000.
Yeah, they like it.
I don't think it works that way, right? Well, I will say I was telling Madeline I haven't been to a URISA conference since the late '90s. I can't remember which one it was, and I can't even remember where it was. But I was surprised when I sat down for Goodchild's keynote, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of people here. So that's a good sign.
Yeah.
It's been the hardest thing is to get people to come to conferences. So it's good to see you guys are doing a successful job.
Cool. Thank you.
I'm still not a GISP, but we were talking about it. We think I might be the first person to have not renewed their GISP.
There's a lot of people, a lot of good people who are not yet GISPs, and you know it's an evolutionary thing, and so we'll see.
Yeah, we will. It's fine. It's needed. People always say, well, if you have it all figured out, just tell us how to fix GISP. And it's like, I can't. I got no better idea. So one of the things, I know what I don't like, but I don't know what I like. And so there's no reason why it can't exist and people work hard at getting it. It's just, it's not for me, I guess, right?
So there's the military intelligence GI certification that's kind of in a proto fashion now. And, if you don't like GSP, wait for the next certification to come around.
Well, I think that's the thing when you start getting more specific. What is GIS? You ask 10 people, they'll give you 10 different answers. So I think more specific people that, are, as you said, the military one. Those are ones I think are applicable, and those are ones that people will respect. So, what about you, Madeline? You a GISP?
Well, I'm not qualified to be one just yet, but I think I would definitely consider it. So I think you have to be in the industry for like 5 years or something.
Do you? See, I was grandfathered in, so I don't know.
You have to be involved in the industry for a little bit and contributing a little bit by presenting papers, going to conferences or luncheons, and so it takes a little bit of time to build up points. But if you had started out in school, you probably could have gotten it much quicker.
Oh well. Yeah, I will look into that option more at some point. Right now I'm focusing on finishing up my thesis and, of course, working at the UGM. So.
Well, just do what I did. Give up on your thesis about a year before it's due. My big joke is my thesis is on a Brother word processor diskette. That I'm eventually hoping I will find a Brother word processor that I can stick this diskette in and then hit print. And then OCR it back into though probably a thesis from 1995 on orange groves in a town that doesn't have orange groves anymore is probably not that apt, Oh well. Well, cool. How are we doing on time, Madeline?
Well, it's 10:31, and I'm sure that Karl has someplace to go, and new sessions just starting up. So, and also my laptop's running low on batteries.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to see the two of you a little bit later around the conference, though, right? You're not jetting out of here right away, are you?
No.
I'll be back tomorrow morning, but yeah.
There's bowling tonight.
Oh man.
I didn't hear about that.
I'm gonna be in your alley. It's gonna be a bowling smackdown, James.
All right, because I'm in a league. I'm in a bowling league. But when you bring the league or the lane balls and the lane shoes, it's an equalizer, right?
So what we're gonna do? We're gonna find the warped lane, and we're gonna play on that one.
Okay, and put up the little barriers for the kids so that you don't hit them in the gutter.
Yeah,
right, we're good. We're good to go. So everybody who is at URISA needs to come to this tonight.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't been to that bowling alley, it's awesome. So.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys.
Well, thank you for taking time out, Karl. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
And Madeline? I'm not going to say you have a good time in Portland because I know you're having a good time in Portland.
I always have a good time in Portland.
All right, everybody. Next week, we probably have an awesome guest, but I can't announce him yet because he's not completely confirmed. But we will find out probably in the next day or two. And this is not that Karl is not an awesome guest and not that other people, but this could be the guest of the year.
Woo! Exciting.
So, I don't mean to build it up. And he's not Canadian.
Yeah, no promises on the Canadian front.
All right. Take care, Madeline.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye,
James.
everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.